Folks, this is Scott Johnson on behalf of Hopkins Farm Broadcasting here in Shelbyville, Tennessee, Bedford County, about 50 miles south of Nashville, 25 miles south of Murfreesboro, in the lovely and not too bad on the weather-wise southern hills of southern middle Tennessee. It's that time of the month where we have Bedford County Mayor Chad Graham come in and talk about various things going on in Bedford County government. He's got a special guest today, Mayor.
We do, and thank you for having me.
All right, we got Kelly North, the Vice President of the Shelbyville-Bedford Partnership, to come in, and we're going to talk about various things going on in the economic development, workforce development, tourism, Chamber of Commerce, that whole world. And what the plans are in the comprehensive business plan that the Shelbyville-Bedford Partnership has developed. I know, Mayor, that when you originally ran, and you've never wavered from this, that certainly economic development, infrastructure is one of your top priorities.
Absolutely, infrastructure. And my vision for infrastructure, a lot of people think about pipes in the ground and utilities, and all those things are infrastructure and are important. But I really had in my mind there was two areas I wanted to see us put a lot of focus on. Connectivity being one of them, i.e. broadband, which really has turned out to, through COVID, prove that the vital component of connectivity, even at the family and education level besides business. And then next generation economic development engine that would help take us toward the future, and that hence formed in the end was the Shelbyville-Bedford Partnership today. So we're excited to be a part of that.
You know, and you mentioned the broadband initiative before we move on to the business plan here, and I know the goal is, and I know there's been a ton of progress made in partnership with United Communications, is to become one of the very first fully connected rural communities in Tennessee, right?
Man, that sounds good. And yes, Bedford wants to be there, and we're awful close. I would tell you that if my mind's right, this day it was over 5,000 houses or calls for service that were not connectable in the county part when I took office back in 2018. Today it's under 1,000, and we're swiftly heading toward fully connected. And so again, a lot of thanks to United Communications, who stepped up and made those investments, because they're putting their money in as well. And then because of the nature of all that has went on in the world in the last few years, there's been some real grant opportunities specifically focusing toward connectivity, and we've capitalized on those.
I was going to say, you were able to get those grants because that's
right.
Probably one of the main reasons, not just the partnership with United, but the grant money that's been available
Absolutely.
to do this. And I know the state of Tennessee really focused on Bedford and a handful of other counties just being able to actually handle this and make it happen.
Absolutely.
So we appreciate that going on, and we'll look forward. I know there's still some folks out there that don't have it yet, but I know they're still working. I think that was a 3-year project maybe or something like that, and hopefully the rest of the folks will get connected here in the future. And that's a critical infrastructure thing, so that's what we were talking about today. And we do have, you got your special guest here, Kelly North, the Vice President of Shelbyville-Bedford Partnership, and I know one of the things you guys have been working on at the partnership is what I will call a very comprehensive, literally single-space 15-page business plan that covers all the different sectors in economic development, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to execute on. I know that once this plan's finalized, you guys are going to post it on your website so everybody can take a look at it. But kind of give us a little introduction on that, Kelly.
Sure. So one of the things that we've been working on for the last several months is a comprehensive roadmap for economic development, workforce alignment, and tourism growth in Bedford County. And, these things together, they all work together synergistically, right, to create, growth and prosperity and ensure that we're thriving in our economy. And, this plan really kind of drills down into some concrete tactics, and so it gives us an action plan. And I think one of the things that I appreciate most about this is the committees that we've formed as a result to bring in the stakeholders within the community that really have some skin in the game. And so when we talk about economic development, when we talk about infrastructure, we're bringing the experts into the room to help us build out a plan of action to move Bedford County forward.
So I like the word stakeholders because it's just not a small group of people trying to decide what's good for everybody else. It's significant folks in all different sectors coming together to have input, help make decisions on making this a better place to live and work.
Well, one of the things that we're good at the partnership is we're good facilitators. We're good connectors.
There's a key word right there, facilitator.
Yes,
Yep.
We may not know it all, but we certainly know who to call. I think I've heard that a couple times, and
Yep, that's so true.
The key for us is to bring the right people to the table to ensure that we're all moving forward together towards a common goal.
And I think, Mayor, when you all set up this organization, and I think that's a great way to put it. It's a facilitator, because you've got to have somebody has to be doing that and paying attention, right, Mayor?
Absolutely. And we do get calls, and then, of course, I have inquiries, and then when I'm at events, people will engage you in different aspects of what I call economic development being the umbrella, but inside there you have tourism needs, you got workforce development, you got education that's always tied to training and the things associated with that. And the county itself does not have a designee within our organization that is involved and engaged and leaning in on that every day. And that's really what a big part of the partnership, if for no other reason, is to be that point person, that point resource that will then take you on the journey of where you're trying to get to. We practically don't walk around with that kind of working knowledge as the government in general, with all the other responsibilities and disciplines we have.
Well, and most of the stuff, or a lot of the things that come in through economic development, come from the state of Tennessee, right? Because they're the ones really looking at the big picture. They know what the capabilities of each county are. I know, for example, I guess it was earlier this week, you all had an assistant commissioner down here for economic development, right?
We had the assistant commissioner for rural development in with us to talk about growth and infrastructure.
Right. I mean, that's a big hitter coming down. And so you need those kind of people, that kind of expertise to work with them on doing that. And
absolutely. And I think if I haven't said it before, I certainly will say it again. It's critical that we have these relationships, these connections, prior to really trying to deal with or solve a problem. When you just come to the table, or you just interface with people whenever there's a challenge in front of you, you leave a lot on the table of what really could be done in the end had we had relationships in the first place. So it all starts there, and even really around this table today is a great example of that.
Well, I know that, of course, the folks that are assigned to this county, Kelly, you work with them all the time.
Yes. And, so just speaking to that meeting that you mentioned, I mean, we had partners from Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development in with us that day, Middle Tennessee Industrial Development Association, and then the Tennessee Department of Rural Development to speak specifically to the infrastructure needs of the county.
And I know that one of the things you all do, and I know you did some this week, is you go out to existing businesses, what we like to call ones already at the dance, to help see what their needs are, see if they have an expansion plan, see if there's any grant opportunities for them. And I think you made at least one of those visits this week.
We did. We regularly visit with local businesses, whether that's through economic development or with the Chamber of Commerce. And we're speaking specifically with economic development. Business retention and expansion is critical. We've got to take care of the businesses that are here and committed to Bedford County. And so I had a visit this week with a company where I learned that they are moving some of their production to collaborative automation. And what that means is that, they're working hand in hand with robotics on their production line. And rather than that taking jobs away from folks, they're training their current employees on how to maintain those robotics and how to program the robots. And so, that piece of economic development is so critically important to ensure that our folks have the skills that they need to stay in high-wage jobs, and that the businesses have the workers that are properly trained to ensure that they continue to thrive here.
And those maintenance kind of jobs historically pay more than line workers.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
And what's really exciting as we talk about these things which are real, not conceptual, we're blessed to have a state-of-the-art TCAT facility that's about to open. We had the original one back from 40 or 50 years ago, and now we're going to have the next generation of that system. And I know those folks there have been totally engaged with us and on this journey. And I think you said two important things. One is, again, the relationship understanding that an industry or a business is looking for how to evolve. We want to be there. We don't want to hear about it when they've already decided to go to Ohio.
Yes.
We want to be involved on the early ends about why they should stay here. And then to have the Tennessee College of Applied Technology, MTSU, Motlow State, again, the career technical education components coming out of even our high schools now, being fully engaged, articulated, I think is the word you guys like to use with that stuff, which means everything builds on it for the next piece, which is powerful because it used to be so siloed. Again, we're building the foundation, we're getting the structure right, that we will be adaptive to whatever opportunities come to Bedford that we want to be a part of. It's really exciting.
And I think that's why this business plan, this strategic plan that we've worked on at the partnership is so critical, because all of those things play together. And, you know, we want to make sure that there are high-wage jobs for the residents of this community. We want to make sure that our businesses can thrive and grow in the community. And then we want to support retail development. We want to support tourism enhancement. And all of those things work together. So our folks have high-wage jobs that allow them to take advantage of things like Near Screen Distillery, or go out and see a show at the Celebration, or eat dinner at Glass Hollow Table. And so to have the input from the stakeholders within the community that, you know, all of us working together towards that same common goal is just critically important to the success in this community.
And we hear that out of without calling the name of some of the industries, but we've got some right here that are high paying, next generation jobs, and they even recognize the importance of the enrichment that's got to be in a community for them to be competitive when they recruit and retain. And so again, it comes back to, we are doing the right things with the foundations that we're building, and then we pivot for whatever's appropriate for what industry or what scenario we're engaging in. It's really exciting to be a part of that.
You know, Kelly, looking at a copy of your business plan here, I see there's 5 critical committees that are part of this business plan with very specific action items in there. Do you want to mention what the committees are?
Sure. So we have an economic development committee. We have a growth and infrastructure planning committee. We have a tourism advisory committee. We have a chamber of commerce advisory committee, and then we have an advisory committee for our Leadership Bedford program.
One of my favorite programs, Leadership Bedford, growing our future leaders and our current leaders here in Bedford County. So let's talk a little bit about the Economic Development Committee.
Sure. So, you know, that committee works together to attract new businesses, create new jobs, and foster a dynamic workforce. So that committee is comprised of industry leaders, post-secondary education partners, and, of course, some of our elected officials as well, to ensure that, you know, we're going back to some of the earlier points, we're making sure that our businesses are taken care of, and we're making sure that our workforce has the skills that they need to find those high-wage jobs.
And giving them input into the process.
Yes, and giving them input into the process.
What about growth and infrastructure?
Growth and infrastructure, I mean, that goes back to Mayor's points on broadband. And, you know, this committee is going to be focused on land use planning, transportation networks, utilities, smart growth strategies that are going to support economic expansion and new industrial and retail recruitment.
And those studies are already in progress, even involving TDOT and some of the state and federal influences, not just local thinking about how do we make Bedford better.
Yes.
So that's powerful that we're bringing the experts in to have the next generation review and potential model for what industry, business, and thriving communities will be looking for or will be required to have to be successful.
Yes, and then going back to the points on stakeholder engagement, you know, we're making sure that we've got representation from both the city and the county on these committees to ensure that, again, everybody's in the same room, they're at the same table, and we're all working together towards that common goal.
Well, it's so critical because each one of us has different perspectives, right?
Yes.
So we have to make sure that all perspectives are considered and before the final decisions are made on moving forward, right?
Yes.
And Bell Buckle War Trace and Normandy aren't as big a player at the table with maybe some of the things that we deal with daily, but they're just as critical components of all that we do, and we're engaging them as well when we talk about the partnership and the things that we're looking at as a county as a whole.
I'll use an example of that. I was at Normandy's town council meeting the other day, which we go to, and they were talking about wanting to get engaged with a partnership on tourism because, they have the George Dickel Distillery just down the road, and Diageo does some things for the town of Normandy. So I haven't even put that on Kelly's plate yet. But we're gonna get with Ryan French and meet with those folks down in Normandy because they're great partners for the partnership down in the town of Normandy.
It's a nice lake down there, too, by the way, if you've never heard of it.
There's a couple of lakes out that way, but they are, and I'm going to actually give them a little shout out. That town of Normandy and their board of aldermen and mayor have done a great job revitalizing that community is probably the best way I can put it. And every time I go down there, things are popping and happening. So a shout out to them for the great job that Mayor Whitaker and all his folks are doing down there. Anything else we want to talk about before we go to our 120-second break? Used to be 60 seconds.
I think that it's important to draw back on, making sure that we have that stakeholder engagement. And, we talked about it a lot this morning, and I just would like to reiterate that, we're not the experts in the room, but we certainly want to bring the experts to the table as we have these conversations to move Bedford County forward. So we're very excited about the fantastic response that we've had from the community and the folks that we've reached out to participate in these committees. And we have one of our first committee meetings happening next week. Our Tourism Advisory Committee will be meeting next week to start kicking things off on tourism development and promotion. And it's going to build a lot of momentum for economic development in the community moving forward.
That's one of the things, you had mentioned that off the air before, how excited we are that folks are willing to kick in and participate from these different sectors and say, yep, count me in.
Yes.
I want to help out and I want to have a say in the process. So, Mayor, anything else before we go to the break?
No, we're just excited to be a part of this and make sure the public understands and reach out to us if you have ideas or want to be involved.
Folks, we've been talking to Bedford County Mayor Chad Graham and to Vice President of the Shelbyville-Bedford Partnership, Kelly North, about the comprehensive business plan that's taking place right now and to execute and get input from various sectors in the community. We've talked about economic development, growth and infrastructure, and we come back later in the show, we're going to talk about tourism, chamber, and leadership in Bedford. So we're going to take a 120. Got a lot of sponsors now. We appreciate these sponsors. 20-second break, and we'll be right back.
Kincaid's is proud to offer Beauty Rest Black to our customers. Beauty Rest Black represents a leap forward in bedding with sleep climate technology keeping you cool and triple-stranded pocketed coils to give you luxurious support all night long. Wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day with a new Beauty Rest Black mattress from Kincaid Service Company. 400 Madison Street, Shelbyville, across from the Speedway gas station. 931-684-5662.
Here at Farm Credit Mid-America, we want to get to know you and your story. We are a member-owned cooperative offering a range of loan products. So when you find that incredible land tract that you've been longing for that fits into your story, give me a call, Jonathan Boyce, at 931-212-0101, or come by and see me, 1908 Madison Street, here in Shelbyville, Tennessee. Loans are subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply. Farm Credit Mid-America is an equal opportunity lender.
When's the last time you've seen the eye doctor? Don't wait. Whether it's little Carter's first pair of glasses or keeping a good eye on your vision health as you age, your eyes are a precious thing. See personalized care for the whole family and friendly faces at Dr. Hasty Family Eye Care on 605 North Main in Shelbyville, across from the U.S. Post Office. Striving to bring you excellence in optometry every single day. Don't put your family's vision off. Make an appointment today at 931-684-2020. Personalized eye care for the whole family at Dr. Hasty Family Eye Care.
United Communications builds connections you can rely on. Whether it's fast internet for your home or business, our fiber network is designed for your community. No long hold times, no out-of-town providers, just real service from real people. Call 931-740-1800 or visit united.net. Thousands of Tennesseans already trust United. United Communications. Fast, local internet.
Folks, this is Scott Johnson on behalf of Hopkins Farm Broadcasting, the only locally owned radio station here in Bedford County. It's that time of the month we have Bedford County Mayor Chad Graham in talking about various things going on in Bedford County. And today we're talking about economic development and executing on a very comprehensive plan here, along with Kelly North, the Vice President of the Shelbyville-Bedford Partnership. When we went to the break, we were talking about growth and infrastructure and the key needs there. I'm excited about that committee because I know all the key utilities and everybody will be involved in that and trying to see, kind of getting everybody on the same sheet of music, see where we're going. And, we do have limitations, but in some areas we may not. We may, state may be able to help us out with some things, so we're looking forward to doing that. What else do we want to move on to there, Kelly?
So we've got a few other committees.
We do.
Our Tourism Advisory Committee. One of the things that I've always found amazing about Bedford County is that we're an untapped lever for tourism potential. We have really grown into a destination in the last several years. And Scott, I know we had Ryan French, who's the director of South Central Tennessee Tourism Association, in with us.
He's excited about Bedford County.
He is, and also commented that Bedford County is the #1 county for tourism potential in the southern middle region of the state of Tennessee. And so, knowing that, putting together this tourism advisory committee that includes members of our different, assets within the community, Nearest Green Distillery, Music City Cartplex, Tennessee Downs, so many folks that will be participating on this committee to help us drive that development and effectively promote these assets in Bedford County.
And those are things that are actually just in the county. They're not actually tied to Bell Buckle, War Trace, and Normandy, and Shelbyville, and they all have their own identities and evolution of tourism in the future. I think the interesting thing, or the thing that we should be excited about, what Ryan said to you, is Bedford's identified as a place for tourism, and our future is bright. So not only does it say we are the right place, it also says we've got some real opportunities to capture things we haven't done yet. I think that's a key point too.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
The key for the partnership is the destination marketing organization for Bedford County.
Yes, that's correct.
So that means you guys have to be involved way into tourism and what's going on.
Charged with promoting all of the happenings within Bedford County to the entire of the state, and we're also looped very tightly into the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development, and that destination marketing organization status allows us to take advantage of the different grant opportunities that flow down.
We're talking about bringing money here from various different organizations
for us to capitalize on.
Yes.
It's given us the infrastructure piece. It's allowing to lean in on the administrative to actually do some things so that we get the return.
Yes.
So, that's powerful, too, because, again, at the local level, we have to pick up the difference.
Sure.
And so every chance we get someone to partner along with us in getting our infrastructure right so we capitalize on the future, we want to do that. And the state of Tennessee, and particularly in tourism, again, has identified that Bedford is a good place to invest. I like that idea.
Folks, and if you haven't been out to the celebration grounds this week, and I know the mayor was out there yesterday.
Just yesterday.
There's an event going on out there right now that has every single barn stall rented. Every single and we have the largest RV park in Middle Tennessee. Every RV park is, and of course that pays hotel motel tax to the city.
Absolutely.
The amount of money, and I forget what the formula is for tourism, but when folks like that come to town, they're eating in our restaurants, they're shopping in our stores, they're staying in our hotels. If they're not staying on the RV park, doesn't matter because there's hotel motel tax either way.
For every dollar invested in tourism, there's a $7 return.
Yeah. Wow. And some would argue at minimum.
At minimum, yes.
$7.
Yeah, because I've seen formulas higher than that. But that's being very conservative, Kelly.
Yeah. What's really neat about this event, I was able to be out there for just a few minutes yesterday, and your CEO took me around, and we met
Cooper Steel Arena,
and we were met with the managers or the ones that were behind it. But what was really even more powerful about that is like a youth circuit, you might say. Now, what sounds good about that, the first thing I thought about that is getting to watch them do it. I used to have a barrel racing horse when I was a kid, and I was watching them do it yesterday. So I was flipping back in time for a minute. But beyond that, when you think about youth, that means that their mom, their dad, probably their grandparents are involved. There's other things.
Call that a force multiplier there, right?
Absolutely. Not only are they going to continue to evolve and be in the business and going to do other things that may bring them right back to Bedford or give them the right impression of, hey, boy, when we were at Cooper Steel Arena, that venue is set for us. But again, I saw a lot of grandparents. I've seen a lot of support mechanisms that clearly are associated with when you're dealing with youth, that if it had been just a regular event, maybe husband and wife, maybe the individual that was competing might have even needed to come by themselves. So again, force multiplier is a great way to say that. It was really an exciting event, and there was a lot of kids that I don't think they were old enough to ride that were enjoying the grounds. To see people just walking around with their horses not saddled, out there with their little riding electric two-wheel deals, and families just interacting, it really give a sense of what we used to enjoy all the time out there on those grounds. So it's great to see that we're pivoting back to where we come from.
Celebration, I know, is working hard to increase the events and increase the type of events that are coming in that generate revenue for the local community as well. And I know Warren Wells, he works very well with the partnership and Kelly and them out here. And matter of fact, I think he's part of our tourism committee.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think he's one of the chairs of it to make that happen. So we got a couple more committees to talk about before we go off the air.
Sure. So, small business, right, is 95% of the businesses in this community are classified as small business. So
absolutely.
We want to make sure that they have what they need to continue to grow here. So the Chamber Advisory Committee works with Dana Rodriguez, our Chamber Director, to develop and execute strategies that are going to provide local businesses with resources, advocacy, and networking opportunities. And we've talked a couple different times, Scott, on the show before about all of the growth that we've seen out of the Chamber of Commerce in the last year. And so to ensure that we stay on that pathway, we want to bring in stakeholders from the small business community that are going to really help us understand what it is that they need.
Yeah. Well, and what you guys do too is you do a lot of networking events. I think the number of events have like quadrupled or something that you guys have put on.
We went from 7 to over 40.
Yeah.
Okay, that's more than quadruple.
Yeah, and I would say again from the administrative 20,000 foot view, when you talk about small business, and we know small business really is the backbone of our country, not just something that we're interested in here in Bedford, but they don't necessarily have $1 million pieces of equipment, and they don't necessarily have something they're looking for. Two things: that networking component that strengthens them because they're usually a 1 or 2 or 3 person organization, and then connectivity. And not just we can get on the web or the internet connection, we got to have a fast connection, and we've got to have the support services around that. That's how they're successful. So we've made big investments in that, and so I hope for the small business community, they're seeing that Bedford's thinking a lot about how do we make the environment right for these people to come here and be successful, because we already know they know how to work hard, and we know how they know how to take risk, and they know that we also know that they're looking for areas that are going to support them when they have difficult times. So it's not always about building a building with 40-foot ceilings or multiple road infrastructures or $1 million piece of equipment that we're trying to get a pilot tax break on. I mean, when we get down to the level of the everyday things that make our community great and strengthen us for the future, that's small business. We're investing there just like we're investing in all these other components. That's what's exciting to the leadership as we look at this. I'm not the expert. I don't do this every day, but we do have a real appreciation for why, again, that umbrella of economic development is critical to your community.
And somebody's got to be facilitating that, making it happen.
Absolutely.
And that's what these folks do at the Shelbyville-Bedford Partnership.
And, as far as the Chamber is concerned, one of the things that we did about a year ago that was really important to the organization was to have conversations with our members, right? So we're not the experts in the room. We need the small business community to tell us what's going to bring value back to them for being a member of the Chamber of Commerce. And so we did that and redesigned our benefits based on the input that we were receiving from the members.
How about that idea? Meet you where you are instead of expecting you to come to me.
I like that. I like that. And we're getting more. I think the partnership is actually moving it to another level on information as well, because anytime local governments have legislation now that may impact small business, that information is provided through that huge network y'all have. Because you got hundreds of members.
Well, sure. There are things
that's important.
that absolutely
then they can
it's
consider
important.
and know what's going on.
One of the critical roles that any chamber of commerce plays in any community is advocacy on behalf of the business community.
Well said. Yeah, advocacy. That's a better term.
And we've got our finger on the pulse of some of the things that are happening within local government. And if there's something that's coming up that's going to affect the business community, we just want to make sure that they're informed.
Absolutely. We have a little time, Kelly and the mayor, to talk about the last committee, I guess, that you had.
Yes, Leadership Bedford. So Leadership Bedford is a long-standing program in Bedford County.
Been around since the 90s.
Been around since the 90s, and one of the best programs, well developed. I mean, and when you talk about building the leaders of the future, folks, if you've got employees that have not been through the Leadership Bedford program, we want to make sure that they go through that program. But we've got a committee of folks that have been through Leadership Bedford at some point in their career since the 90s that are now on this committee, and they're really driving the program and promoting the program and ensuring that folks who come through the program, both the adults and the youth, understand who this community is and make sure that they're well connected, positioned, and poised to be leaders here for the long term.
And this is roughly a 10-month program,
yes.
roughly, where folks can get involved. I know the county government does a great job of sending future government leaders through this program, and so the business community,
yes.
both retail level and larger businesses, and they learn. It's interesting because being able to interact with those classes, it's amazing to me how many of them go, I didn't know we had this in the community.
Yes.
I didn't know. In the program that you all have exposed them across all sectors, government and business in the community, and nonprofits, about what's going on here in the community, and that's growing our future leaders. And what I really like is the program you have for the high schools, and that's a competitive program to get into.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And so you have seniors, right, that participate in that program. And the other day when I learned that, because you have a very large alumni group,
yes.
and you're going to start capitalizing on that, we're reconnecting with all the folks that have graduated over the years, and get them together and get more input from them as well. Right?
Sure, and what a great resource for the Leadership Bedford program to be able to tap into through the Alumni Association. And folks that are in the Alumni Association can talk about the things that worked really well for the program in the past. They can talk about areas that presented some challenges, and you can really build a streamlined and effective program by being able to, again, leverage all these stakeholders.
Right. And I would say this, and I don't know how much more time we have left, but
your program, Mayor, as much as you need.
I like that. We talk to people. I hear from people all the time that's been through the program and that have been, I'll use the word lifelongers around Bedford, and they'll say, I never knew that, just as you said. But I think there's three components that, again, I think about it from an administrative, when we support this and we say we want to see this happen, all the things that you guys said around the table about leaders and all that stuff, but it really is civics for people that there's a huge void in what civics, and it really is.
Absolutely.
And then certainly it's awareness. And again, no matter how you feel about it, it's bringing that part. But most importantly, I think the end of that is, I think it leaves you with an appreciation of what's going on around you. Now, that's the part where we're suffering as even a country in some ways. But so we're going to make you aware of it. We're going to name, explain, have demonstrated, and you'll conduct practical work on, as the military used to say to us before every challenge we had. But that's really what Leadership Bedford's doing. So for folks that are like, well, I've been here all my life, it doesn't offer me anything, I don't think that's true. I would encourage you to take a second look, because again, there's a refreshing civics piece to it. It's certainly going to bring awarenesses you didn't have, because I even get awarenesses even whenever I peek in on what's going on today. But I really think the success of it has been the appreciation that comes out of it when it's said and done. I don't know anybody that's ever went through the program that did not articulate the appreciation now for what has been put before them, and it's empowering to see then what will they do with it. That's the leadership piece. We're excited to be a part of that.
Well said, Mayor.
Absolutely. And they get to see it. They get to touch it and feel it. They get to know. They don't have to rely on some undocumented source that somebody wrote something out there that is probably not accurate.
Or do a Google search.
Or rely on AI or something to try and do it. This actually is a hands-on program where they really learn and they get to actually know the facts.
Yeah, and they're interfacing with the professionals that are doing that kind of work or that discipline every day.
Yes.
And I will say this too: a lot of the folks that go through that, they end up with a lot of good connections in the business
they
community.
And
because they get to know their class really well.
Connections. They wind up sitting on nonprofit boards within the community. They find volunteer opportunities. So places that they can serve within the community. There's so many great things that come out of the Leadership
Hence comes
program.
Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
Our youth, not youth, but what's our young professionals.
Young professionals.
Yes.
We didn't even talk about that program.
Feeds those things. And again, those things are really setting them up with some good enrichment components for them to go on to be successful beyond anything that we're envisioning when we have them.
Yes.
When we've captured them. That's the powerful piece. We're going to leave it better than we found it.
That's right.
And that should be at the base of everything we do.
Completely agree.
Mayor, Kelly, we are basically out of time. A ton of great information brought here today, and I'm really excited about this plan and the execution of this plan here in the near future. And once it gets finalized, anybody out there will be able to take a look at it and see what the partnership is doing out here in the community, making this a better place to live and work. Mayor, got anything else you want to talk about before we go off the air?
We've said it all.
All right, Kelly, anything else you want to talk about before we go off the air?
We're just very appreciative of all of our partners throughout the county, the state, the region, and love the opportunity to work collectively with all of the folks who've got some skin in the game.
Well, maybe I should say this because I got to have the last word.
Okay.
Obviously, we're better together, and this is just another component of that.
That's right.
I want folks to say that again.
Yeah, we're better together.
You know what? That's so powerful because there's so much division in so many communities nowadays. But when you work together, you may not always agree on everything, right? But if you're working together, at least pulling in the same direction, you can make things better.
You better believe it.
And we appreciate it. We appreciate your commitment to doing that. Mayor, I know folks appreciate what you do here in Bedford County, running Bedford County government to make this place a better place to live and work. Same thing with you, Kelly, and the folks at the Shelbyville-Bedford Partnership. There's so much going on that you guys are doing to make this a better place to live and work, and I know we appreciate it, and the vast majority of people appreciate it because I get told all the time from business people here in the community they appreciate what y'all are doing here, as well as from different government agencies as well. Folks, we've been talking to Bedford County Mayor Chad Graham and the Vice President of the Shelbyville-Bedford Partnership, Kelly North, but I can't go off the air without thanking those sponsors we have nowadays, and we've got United Communications, Fast Local Internet, Farm Credit, Mid-America, securing the future of rural communities and agriculture, Dr. Dale Hasty, Family Eye Care, because your eyes are a precious thing, and Kincaid Service Company. Everybody knows Kincaid's, where service has been their middle name since 1934. Thanks to them for sponsoring these 11 government-related talk shows every month where you can tune in here and hear it straight from the horse's mouth. This is Scott Johnson on behalf of Hopkins Farm Broadcasting, the only locally owned radio station here in Bedford County. Until next time.
When's the last time you've seen the eye doctor? Don't wait. Whether it's little Carter's first pair of glasses or keeping a good eye on your vision health as you age, your eyes are a precious thing. See personalized care for the whole family and friendly faces at Dr. Hasty Family Eye Care on 605 North Main in Shelbyville, across from the U.S. Post Office. Striving to bring you excellence in optometry every single day. Don't put your family's vision off. Make an appointment today at 931-684-2020. Personalized eye care for the whole family at Dr. Hasty Family Eye Care.
Kincaid's is proud to offer Beauty Rest Black to our customers. Beauty Rest Black represents a leap forward in bedding with sleep climate technology keeping you cool, and triple-stranded pocketed coils to give you luxurious support all night long. Wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day with a new Beauty Rest Black mattress from Kincaid Service Company, 400 Madison Street, Shelbyville, across from the Speedway gas station. 931-684-5662.
United Communications builds connections you can rely on. Whether it's fast internet for your home or business, Our fiber network is designed for your community. No long hold times, no out-of-town providers, just real service from real people. Call 931-740-1800 or visit united.net. Thousands of Tennesseans already trust United. United Communications. Fast, local internet.
Here at Farm Credit Mid-America, we want to get to know you and your story. We're a member-owned cooperative offering a range of loan products. So when you find that incredible land tract that you've been longing for that fits into your story, give me a call, Jonathan Boyce, at 931-212-0101, or come by and see me, 1908 Madison Street, here in Shelbyville, Tennessee. Loans are subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply. Farm Credit Mid-America is an equal opportunity lender.
Nobody plays more classic country.
I told you so.
98.7 AM 1580. WLIJ, Shelbyville, Tennessee.